I have like so many butterflies right now.
All hell, rap motherfuckers get back, snort rails. Kick back with a six-pack, yeah, we gon' do what he want, leaving others impaled. A podcast levels far beyond that. This ain't no bullshit, it's marsh pits and all that. Real talk with a steel got tasted. Rat still spill jizz on your faces. Gone ape shit, blaze it and take it in. Rat talks with crack rocks and gin. Metalheads unite with a grin. Goddamn master man, that's real shit now. So open up your mind to smoke a bowl. A bunch of potheads getting stoned, you know how it go. It's the new show on the block. 100% uncut rock top.
And another episode of Rat Talk begins. And this week, I have another awesome guest with me. Awesome guests, I should say. That is a couple here. Kai and Charlotte, welcome to the show. How's it going, guys?
Thanks for having us. This is awesome.
Yes. And then if everybody's listening, you are hearing they are both females. So let's get that out of the way. Yes, This is another lesbian. Well, not another lesbian, but another homosexual episode. So let's get right into it. Kai, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself right now?
About myself personally?
Well, just like, hi, my name's Kai, blah, blah, blah. I'm from here.
Hi, my name's Kai. I'm from Texas, moved to California. It's been really fun. It's different here, but it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, look at you now. You're on a podcast. There you go. Charlotte, where'd you?
I'm from California, and that's it. I moved to Texas
Born
for a
and
year
raised.
from Riverside County, but
We're nothing
Hey,
special.
I have cousins living in Riverside too, so
yeah, so they
Yeah.
know the pain.
To be honest, yes, they do tell me like, yeah, it's nothing out there. It's like, come on, you gotta. He actually started his own band, so he's got something going on out there now. But welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for coming in. This is something that I was always wanted to do. And the last time I had a gay couple in here, I told them, I was like, yeah, I want to have like, you know, a lesbian couple to come in. And they're like, well, just make sure that they're together. And I was like, okay. So what, why is that? I mean, first of all, that's what I was wondering. It's like being a single lesbian. Was that really different between like,
Well, I mean, I've always had this theory that other lesbians don't like other lesbians.
really?
Yeah.
It's almost like a territorial thing.
We talk about it all the time, like when we're walking around the mall and, you know, I'm very masculine looking. So when another masculine lesbian sees me, we kind of like puff out our chests.
They blow up and they're like, come on, man, come on. You wanna fight?
That's exactly how men are. Though. You see another buff dude, you're like, I can take him.
Like
I
we're
can
trying,
take that guy.
we're trying to out lesbian each other.
Which I didn't even think that was an actual thing. Like I had no idea that was a real thing.
Yeah. It's like when I'm at the store helping people out, if there's a lesbian couple, they usually don't want to talk to me.
Really?
Yeah. It's like sometimes they feel like it's just
Who's
so
that
weird.
girl?
Because both of them look at each other and it's like, why do you want to talk to her?
Oh, you had Kai help you out?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You had her help you out? Oh my god. Wasn't there a dude that you could have talked to or something?
Out of all the two people in the store, you had to go.
It's so true. It happens.
Yeah. That's so weird. I never thought that would even be a thing, you know, because when I had them here, they were saying like, oh, like the entire gay community is about acceptance, you know, like being able to be yourself in a big group of people and everything. And but that's so weird that like, even though it is like you know, the main, I'm pretty sure you're not really judging them. You're not being like, oh,
No,
like,
not of course.
But it's like you said, it's a more of a territorial thing where you're just like, this is my woman right here.
Yeah.
So
My girl, you know, you can't say my girl. But it's like, we're not like that. We're not bowing up to other people. But it's just like when other people are in a couple, especially when they're together, it becomes a territorial thing. But if you see people, gay people, queer people, like LGBT, anything, when they're by themselves, we actually congregate together.
Yeah.
And we actually find friends within each other.
Really?
Like,
But as a couple, though, it's like a totally different thing. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I don't want you around this person.
Yeah.
I mean, I can totally relate to that. That's exactly how I am. It's every time my girlfriend's like, oh, I'm with coworkers, I'm like, which ones?
Yeah.
Which coworkers?
Exactly.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about in this episode is your individual stories, because that's what well, the gay couple I had in here, I just asked them how I met. What I should have asked them is like their own personal stories. So let's start off with you, Kai. How was those early days? Like, I guess the question that I came up with was, how did you know that you were a lesbian? Pretty much, like what age? What were those feelings that you're feeling, and that, you know, what was that? What was it like, you know, being in that time frame and thinking to yourself, like, I'm not into what the stigma is, pretty much.
First off, I just want to say everybody's story is so different. My story is different. Her story is different. Like every LGBTQIA, it's just like either you were accepted or you had to hide it for a long time. And for me, I guess it all started when I was in about second grade. Like, you know how, and I know you know this, if you see a pair of boobies, you're going to be like, oh, those are some good boobies.
Yeah.
And I, as a second grader, was like, boobies. So, and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be feeling this. So
Isn't that like the greatest thing? To just be like, oh, you know what? Boobs. That's what it was.
Those are what they are.
And then I want to be vulgar for a sec, but I'm going to. You know how people...
Go ahead. Do it.
So, you
My
know how
mom might listen to this.
But you know how teachers would lean over your desk, and it's just like they have the V-neck on, and when teachers would lean over your desk and they had the V-neck on, and it was just like staring at them in the boobies.
Little perv Kai.
Yeah.
And so that's what I kind of noticed, but never did anything, never had a second thought in my mind until I was in about 7th grade. And then I told one of my friends, Joel, I was like, I might like girls. And he was like, you can't tell anybody that.
Really?
And I was like, oh, okay, like I really won't tell anybody. It's fine.
Is it because he was like, was he raised like Catholic or something, or like Christian?
Well,
or
we
whatever?
were actually in the same youth group, so we were both.
Oh, okay.
We were both raised Catholic. We were in a Catholic church together, but he was my best friend at the time, and I told him, and he said, I'm fine with it. Like, you're cool. You're still my friend, but you can't tell anybody because people around here will beat you up, will try to hurt you, will not be your friend.
Yeah, like growing up in Southeast Texas.
Yeah, growing up in Southeast Texas, that was the whole stigma. It was like you couldn't tell anybody, you couldn't come out at all, or else you would be beaten up, shunned, thrown out of your family, thrown out of your house. Yeah. So that was 7th grade. I told him, and then after that, I was like, zip, did not talk about it
again.
ever again, until I was about 10th grade, and I had dated boys since I guess I was in 4th grade. I guess the soonest you start dating, I guess.
About, yeah.
And
see, I was a little pimp. But I was in I was in kindergarten and had girlfriends up in, you know.
And but let's see, 10th grade. So I was dating these guys, and then suddenly this girl was there, and I was like, man, she's really, really pretty. And I unsuppressed those booby feelings that I used to have. So I started looking at her a little bit differently than I had ever looked at anybody else. And so I broke up with this guy, started to be with her, and it was just, she would never want to be with me as like a girlfriend, but we would like go together to events and kind of hang out alone, you know what I mean? But that was, I guess, 2nd grade was the first time I started to realize, and then 10th grade was really when I started to act upon what I was feeling.
Okay. And so 10th grade is when you started to act on it and everything. At what age were you like, okay, this is who I am, I'm going to start telling people about it?
I had started telling people about it at school when I started to like mess around with that girl. So I had started telling like my close-knit friends. I was like, yeah, me and Taylor are like this. Like, we're hanging out, we're doing this, and this.
Well, you guys were more like this. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Don't push that stigma. That's not real.
But we were fucking around. So so I started telling little people here, little people there, but it was just like my first close-knit, like 10 friends.
Yeah,
you know,
you're very, you're close circle and everything.
Very, very close circle. And then I was actually forced out of the closet with my parents by them reading text messages to this girl.
Ooh, they read your text?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I happened to be just like in the shower one day, and I got out of the shower, and they're like, you're in huge trouble. And I had to go to my room, and I had to stay in my room, and they had my phone. And of course, I knew what was on my phone, and it was not
boobies.
It was boobies. So
you should have just been like, no, I was just comparing sizes and, you know, like what bras fit what, you know?
But there were some sexual things in those text messages, and it was something that I couldn't lie about. It was something that I couldn't hide. So they took it, and they did not take it well.
So so they forced it. They basically forced it out of you. I mean, which I don't blame them. You know, like anytime they have to force their child to admit something, they know it's true. They just want to hear him say it. Like once they say it, it's like, like
it confirms it. Like,
you know, like it exactly. Like it confirms their suspicions and everything. So that must have. I mean, that must have not felt well for them. How was it later on when they knew this now, like this information? What was it like in the next couple months, pretty much?
It wasn't good. I was cut off from all sorts of like social things. I could only go to school and I could come back and I could read my books and that's it. Like phone was off, computer was off, couldn't hang out with anybody after school.
Typical American punishment,
right?
Pretty much.
I was shut up in my room, and my mom that night, she had actually like told me that being bi or being gay wasn't real. She said that I would have to go to church counseling, that I had to be sent to my priest, and this was wrong, and it's going to hurt her reputation. So she was all about, like, you're affecting me in my life. You can't do this. So over the next few weeks, you know, I was grounded, shut down. I actually did have to go to church counseling, but that ended up being good in my favor because my priest was actually what he said. And this is for you and for anybody else who doesn't know that. In the Catholic Church, my priest had told me, he said, being gay is not a sin. Having sex while not married is a sin.
Yeah.
So
okay.
And
which
know, like,
all Catholics know that. Like that is something they know is like don't have sex before marriage.
It's adultery.
And it doesn't. Yeah. It does. But it doesn't. There is no real fine line between it. You know, like it's like, well, what if I work it this way? Work it this way. Blah blah blah. You know, like there's
technically sex.
Yeah. Exactly.
But their whole thing was like, well, as long as you don't have sex, you're not committing a sin. It's like, I could love another woman without it being a sin, but as long as I just didn't have sex with her, that was the thing. My parents didn't like that. They were like, what do you mean it's not a sin? And they were yelling at like my priest and myself.
They're all flipping through the...
They're like, are you sure? Like,
the priest guidelines. Right, the priest guidelines say, you must say.
It was difficult for them to hear that. And I think from that point on, it got a little bit better. But I think it was just because they started to forget about it.
Oh, okay.
And I started to hide it again. So I suppressed all of my, like, anybody I was talking to at that point, like, they didn't know about. And I started keeping secrets about my girlfriends and about who I was hanging out with. I would always tell my parents I was hanging out with guys and really go out with girls. And they didn't like that because one night they found out and they read through my text messages. I'm a stupid person leaving my phone about. And so I got in trouble again, and they grounded me again. And they said it was because, quote unquote, I lied to them, but I knew better. Okay, it was because I was still gay.
But I mean, so now are they still like do they accept that now, or
it's
like,
something that they're not mad about anymore? But it's not really something I've brought up since then.
Since then, okay.
Yeah, I was probably a senior in high school when they found out about my second girlfriend, and they grounded me, just like I just told you. But ever since then, I really just haven't brought it up to them. It's not something that we've cleared the air. It's just kind of like, hey, here's my girlfriend. We've been together for 4.5 years. And they go, okay.
There's been some tension, like an underlining ground of, you know, we love you guys, but we still feel this type of way about this relationship.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I just think it's the way our parents grew up, you know.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
we can't blame them. Yeah, exactly. Like we can't. Yeah, exactly. We can't blame them for the way that they what they put in their head for so long, for so many years, and it finally took their own body and blood to open them up and finally be like, okay, you know what, like this is a real thing that happens in this world. We just have to accept it. You know, so I mean, I think that's kind of what I think. How I feel it is. Does it seem that way?
They've come to terms, and I think it's something that they've accepted, that that's me and that makes me happy. So that makes me happy for them to think it's like it's not bad anymore. Yeah, which is what the best feeling is for them to just not think it's bad.
I think they just recently came, and I think that trip really helped us and their parents to be comfortable with each other,
to accept it, pretty
definitely.
much,
because we spent a lot of time together. They came probably about a month ago.
Okay.
And we spent a lot of time together with just me and Charlotte and them.
Which we've never really done before.
Never done.
I always felt like they didn't like me around or anything, but they really went out of their way to make me feel part of their family for once.
Wow. See? Yeah.
So this was the first kind of like, not closure, I guess, but just made us feel so much like, oh
okay.
my God,
Like
yes.
they
like now they'll come to our wedding type thing.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, because who wouldn't want to have their parents in there and everything?
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't know your story, so let's. How was it for you growing up and everything when?
Well, I grew up Mormon. My mom's Mormon, my dad's Catholic, but we were raised with the Mormon Church, very, very religious.
Mm-hmm. I've known some Mormons too growing up, and they're.
But I had my own issues with God and with my sexuality because my brothers were very, into WWE, the wrestling divas.
Oh, yeah,
and,
of course.
I grew up with my brothers, so they would watch these things and these girls everywhere, and I felt like I couldn't look at that because I knew I felt some sort of attraction to it.
Mm-hmm.
But also growing up Mormon and understanding what other people feel about it, I tried my best to suppress it. Then, I started getting friendlier with girls. Most of my girls turned out to be friends. And then I think it was around 10th grade, I was in band. There's this rumor that everything on the band bus stays on the band bus. And,
It's true.
That was an actual thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
I knew everything that happened on our band bus. Okay?
Yeah. Everything stigma towards horny band kids is a true thing. Like, I know. But I remember this girl that we've known each other forever, and she was very openly attracted to me, and we would play truth or dare on the bus, and she dared me, like, make out with me right now, we're about to pull over. And I was like, oh shit. Like, but
like, I gotta make this move.
No, I was scared to death because my mom actually worked at our school.
Oh, okay.
So I was afraid, if this were to become something, my mom will know.
Because not everything stays on the band bus.
No,
exactly.
not especially in 10th grade.
Yeah.
But, we ended up, making out and stuff, and I felt like this relief of, like, gayness come over me, and I was like, oh my God, this feels so, like,
it's
right.
like you did it in the rainbow stars, just
well, because like most other lesbians, I've dated guys before that, but it never felt like special or something that was what I wanted for the rest of my life. Because I always thought that I was never gonna get married. I always thought that I was just like a free spirit. But when I started dating girls, it was more like, oh yeah, maybe this could be something. But even then, until I met Kai, I didn't believe in marriage, getting married and having that family and stuff.
So sweet.
But, with my parents, they didn't find out till I was a junior. And this is something that I've been I don't really like telling my come out story, but I got arrested. And I got arrested for stealing a rainbow sticker from Spencer's while my parents were at the mall with me.
Wow.
And so
that is, well, just for stealing a sticker though, like that.
Well, yeah,
that just shows you like our society, like they.
I mean, I was
so sensitive.
I was like 15 probably, and they had me in handcuffs. They took me out and like bent me over because we were on the top and handcuffed me in front of everybody. And the only thing going through my mind is like, they're gonna know what I was stealing. Yeah. They're gonna know, I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to
find
tell
a way
them,
out of this. So the whole time we were, we home that night, I tried to convince them. Someone else put it in my pocket. I didn't do this.
It was the ghost. It just fell in there. I mean, I swung over and everything fell. I guess one of it was in my pocket.
And I felt like we had to have this sit down talk and basically, why were you stealing now? Why do you need to steal and all this stuff? And I was just like, I think I'm bisexual. And they're like, my mom was like, no. No, you're not. You can't be. That's not a thing. And so I'm sitting. She's like, you've never even had a sexual relationship with a woman. And I go, yeah, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking, you know, but my dad didn't take it as hard as my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of how she grew up, you know.
Yeah.
And my whole family is very, very like Mormon. Not like polygamy, not that far, but very to the scripture Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
But
like they believe in the word and everything, and
yeah,
like,
they preach it everywhere, and you know that's their business. I personally don't agree with it, but you know what can you do? It's family.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, she's still. When I was going through high school, we had a rough time, and when I started dating Kai, it really started to pick up, as in, like, this is real. I don't like it. So it got to the point where when I first went to Texas to visit Kai, I had come back to a broken household, and I had to move out of my house at 16.
Oh, wow.
One of those. And I had to move in with my friend because it was getting too much, and I felt almost unsafe at home.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Kai's told you this, but I struggle with anxiety and depression. Mm-hmm. So being in that kind of place made it really hard.
She hasn't told me, but
well.
I can totally understand that.
Yeah,
you know, like because I'm from what is now a broken household.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents fought through all the entire years. They decided to get a divorce after I had graduated and everything, and then, you know, it kind of felt like it was my fault.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
exactly. So I know I can get the idea. You know, it's not the exact situation that you're coming from, but I can totally relate to the point, like you feeling like coming back and just being like, oh well, this is kind of me. Like this is what happened when I started making my voice heard. Pretty much.
Well, I mean, I thank her for letting me even go to Texas at such a young age and not knowing what it was. But I think I took advantage of it because I told her I was going to be gone for 5 days, and then I ended up being gone for 2 weeks. And, you know, it was me finally exploring my life and being who I was. And the first time we went to Pride, and I felt so free and so happy. And I felt like this was my life. And then coming home, and then, you know, everything wasn't right. But
that's tough. Yeah, it's really tough.
But now, I mean, my mom couldn't be a completely different person. She loves Kai, you know. And
we're best friends.
Yeah.
Really?
I say she likes
me all the time.
Really?
I say she likes her more than me now. You know, and she's always impressed with her. She's always, you know, asking about her and stuff. And, you know, all of my family, you know, my immediate family, you know, my brothers and my dad and my mom, they all just genuinely love Kai because the way they see a change in me, and because I've always been so, like, antisocial, very sad, and kind of like, you know, an emo kid, as they would say, they would describe. But, you know, Kai's really kind of turned around my life, and
for the better. I mean,
definitely.
You know, and it's something. I guess it's something that they couldn't, because you, like you said, you've dated boys before and everything, and that's obviously something they never seen. You know, even so, the fact that they can see you with her and actually be happy, you know, that's got to be really what it is. To me, I think that's really what it is. When parents finally see their child in a happy situation, even though it's not what they're used to, you know, in their time and everything, it's great. Yeah. You know, you got to be you have to be happy for them. I mean, you're not going to, just because you're so full of yourself and what you grew up in and everything, you can't tell your child, no, it can't be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if they're happy.
Yeah. Especially, now, you know, we've lived together for 3 years now, almost 4. You know, and it's just, our relationship has always been, you know, rocky, up and down, but that's because of the distance and everything. Yeah. But being together has really been.
Yeah, which actually we can get into now. I mean, how did you meet? Yeah, I know Kai told me you guys actually met through Tumblr.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so so let's get into that story. Like, what?
Well, we were just talking this in the car yesterday.
We were thinking about what to say because how we met and how we first started talking is like would never have guessed.
The first time I came in contact with her was when I had posted something about getting revenge on my ex-girlfriend.
She was going to post all her like teddy bears and letters and stuff on like the stop signs in the city. like, and just tape them on the stop
She
signs?
really screwed with me.
Oh,
At the
okay.
time, high school drama, stuff like that. I thought it was the end of the world and everything.
Yeah.
And she was
Mhm.
like, maybe you shouldn't. And then I saw her pictures. I was like, maybe I shouldn't.
I convinced her not to.
wait, so she was posting this, and were you just surfing online, like looking up random, like?
Yeah, so on Tumblr you can follow each other, right? Where
Yeah.
I'd follow her blog because she posts on other blogs too, and she gets her picture, and it's like it shows her picture and her URL. So I was like, oh, she cute, So I clicked on her, right? And so she was posting this, and you can reply to people what they post.
Yeah.
So I was replying. I was like, oh, don't do that. You're better than that. Just forget about her. Blah blah. And at this time, I'm with somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
So I was with another person at the time, and I was talking to her, and I guess this was like around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her, and I was away from my ex at the time, I guess. And oh god, what was the first thing I said to you?
She said, let me see your boobies.
I did.
It always comes back to boobies with her.
Yeah.
I'm a booby.
You're a booby.
Boobies.
So like me and my ex were on a break at the time, and they have this thing online. It's called Topless Tuesday.
Mhm.
So I had posted a picture of me, Topless Tuesday. So I was like, I go to my cute little, oh, she's cute blog. Let me go see if she'll post her boobies. So
I was 17. No, 16 at the time. So I did not, in fact.
So
No, it was 17. Can't get it
so-
right.
Yeah.
So I
I don't
go
even
to
know
her
how
blog
old I
and I
am
was
now.
like, hey, are you going to do a Topless Tuesday? Like, winky face. And she was like, nope. Missed
no.
out.
No, and you are now on the FBI's watch list.
Basically.
Welcome to Dateline.
So those were actually the first things that we talked to each other. And they were like separate. They were about a month apart, I guess.
Mhm.
And
we talked as friends for a bit.
yeah.
She told me a lot of problems going on in her relationship, and I respected, I was obviously attracted to her,
Mhm.
but I respected the fact that she was in a relationship. She told me she might get out of it. Maybe this could be something, and then she went back into it, and I respected it. I gave them their space. But
But once that was over, I was like,
And once it was
hey.
over.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Finally.
over, like I was the one who called it quits and everything because of the way she was acting. So I was like, look, that part of my life is over. I want to focus on you. I want to get to know you.
Mhm.
So it was like we were nonstop from then on there.
yeah.
Facebook messaging like every single day. And you want
So
to know
you went from
something?
Tumblr followers to Facebook friends,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Facebook
Mhm.
friends.
But you want to know something? She didn't have texting.
Oh yeah.
So
my
as we
mom.
could-
My mom. Although now she will not answer my calls, she didn't believe in texting. She said,
Wait, but if you text her, she will answer your texts?
"Yeah, now she will."
But back then, it
No.
was like, no.
In high school,
no, you can call your friends.
Yeah, in high school, my parents were all about like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's exactly how my parents were.
Yeah,
like,
I was always
yeah.
the lame one that like didn't get the invite to anywhere.
Because
When we
couldn't get
texted
text.
you, like, oh, all right,
Sorry, I only get calls.
Lame. So it was like when we talked, and she was in high school. She was finishing up high school at the time, and I was in college. So, and at that point, I was going through that old breakup and going through this kind of new relationship. So I was in college. I was enrolled, but I never went to class. I went through this stage where I was like huge depression. So I was talking to her. So she actually helped me get out of that as well
Yeah.
during that point in time.
So you said you were 17 when you first went to go visit her.
yeah.
Was it because you like wanted to go see her, or were you just like, oh, I'm gonna go to Texas? I happen to be in Texas. Will you do you
Well-
want to hang out?
Well, I mean, it was a very sudden thing. One of my good friends used to live in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Like 2 cities over
coincidentally, like
from where I lived.
Really?
exactly. This huge state, and he used to live like two cities away from him. So
And-
they know I was in a relationship with her, and they asked me and my friend if we wanted to go with them on a road trip to go to Texas. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To see
And,
their
yeah.
family and to meet me.
And
Yeah.
I had just graduated high school and stuff. I had no money and nothing. The whole trip I barely ate because my parents gave me like $100 for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But we went, and I think that was what really cemented our relationship. was
That
just
first visit.
yeah.
That first meeting.
Yeah.
It was
So-
only like 3 days. You know, I was late. The first day we planned to get there around like 5, and we didn't get there till like midnight.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty big setback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, we had been talking since January, dating since February. She asked me to be her girlfriend in February online.
Mhm.
We didn't meet till June.
Yeah.
So it took
Oh,
us
wow,
6 months
yeah.
to actually meet in person.
Mhm.
But I mean, once I saw her that night, midnight, it
And
was
you know, like
beautiful.
that also is another like big against the stigma today, like
Yeah.
online dating. Are you like, yeah, like catfish, getting catfish
Yeah.
and everything. Like
No, we
you
made
to-
sure we
you totally
video
could've been-
chatted
yeah,
with each other.
I know one of you totally could have been like a 6'4", 250-pound black dude.
How do you know I'm not?
Reveal.
She's got a zipper on the back of her neck.
People on your podcast can't see this, but it's amazing.
It's
But
like,
yeah,
whoa, you just got taller.
Yeah. Everyone in high school thought, you know, it was some joke that I was dating someone from Texas, you know,
Mhm.
that I was set on like this relationship working because they had known me previously with this other girl and how I was so, you know, serious about that. But I don't know. We spent the first night together at a park, just us two, you know, in the moonlight. And I know it sounds real corny, but I think it really was like,
Dude, that sounds like something out of a movie, like the Texas.
it was.
Texas moonlight in the middle of a park.
It was like the best thing ever, but it's in June in Swampville in Texas, so we
Yeah.
got so many mosquito bites.
I had no idea
The
that my
the
blood
horrible
was so
reality
sweet.
of it. Yeah.
But she had missed my prom, and I'd asked her to come with me and stuff, and she couldn't scrounge up the money, so she took me to this park, and she brought a radio and stuff, and we danced, and
Aw.
just a soccer field and stuff, while I was swatting, mosquitoes away.
Smooth. Smooth. Look at that. Not even guys could come up with it.
It was just like, it was our first meeting 6 months out, and it was just like, I want to impress this girl.
Okay,
so bad. And so she
Little
showed
did
up-
she know I was going to Texas when I was 17, just graduated, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she had impressed me before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be on my way there.
I mean, it was beautiful. We stayed up all night long, and then I took her to get donuts in the morning.
Nice.
No, kolaches.
Kolaches, but he doesn't
Oh.
know what
I
a
ha-
kolache
oh,
is.
yeah, yeah.
What are kolaches?
Kolaches is I think it's a Texas, like a Bible Belt thing. It's basically a bun with like a wiener on the inside, like a pig in a blanket, but it's like this
Yeah,
big.
very Bible Belt.
But it's like a
Bun with a
like
wiener in it.
6 inches long. I'm like making hand
Oh, I had
motions,
one of
but I
those
know
this
you
morning.
guys can't see it. But sometimes they put like jalapeno stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's always filled with
Yeah.
cheese. And
Do you like, is it like a croissant bread or something, or is it
Kinda.
something else?
it's
I
more
would
like
say
a
so.
like a dinner roll type, but it's much softer.
Soft buns and a wiener.
Great
Yep, had
combo.
one of those this morning. No, okay, so you had this awesome first date, pretty much. What was what was the second? Like, well, did you go and just stay with her that entire trip, or
No, she still had to stay with that family because, young kid, she had to be taken care of by other people.
Yeah.
So it was like she couldn't
well,
stay at my house.
legally? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
They were I was their responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. And she couldn't stay at my house because my parents would not allow that. You can't stay in the same room.
I had,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know I was
They
staying
were
the
still
night.
going on with the gay thing, so
Yeah.
it was still uncomfortable. So she couldn't stay over. But we hung out every day. They would like drop her off at my house, and we would spend the entire day together. And then I would drop her back off at their house 2 cities over. And that was only for
Every
what?
night, though, every night she dropped me off, it was like a crying session.
It was like,
Like,
we
we
didn't
felt
want to
like
leave
we
each
were
other.
Like, I didn't want to get out of the car. She had to go to work.
I'm gonna
And
cry.
Which is it's funny that you said that because again, the last couple that I had on here, they just said like, gay people feel things more emotionally. Like, I think that's what the real difference is between a straight couple and a gay couple. When you're with a gay couple, both of you, it's just straight emotion. Like it's not.
I think it's also because we have so much in common. Not only like all of our interests and stuff, but like our body wise and stuff. And,
Okay, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like you guys are connected on a more different level than that's physical and emotional.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much. Like,
And it had to be purely emotional because for 6 months we didn't see each
Yeah.
other.
yeah,
So
exactly.
there was no physical, there was no like touching, like relationship. It was just how are you feeling today? Like, I'm feeling this. We'd cry on the phone all the time. We would talk about each other's dreams and stuff. And it was just
we would mostly quote Austin Powers, though.
Yes.
That would be most of our
Yes.
relationship through the phone.
It's funny. Me and Johnny were quoting Austin Powers every day.
And a lot of, hold on, I think my mom's coming.
still a secret at that point.
yeah. No, yeah, I get it. So every night was a struggle, but you spent every single day that you were out
Yeah,
there, right?
it was like a week, a little bit less.
Yeah, I think it was like 3-4 days.
Yeah, 3 or 4 days. And then she had to go. And then, so that was in June when we met, spent 3 or 4 days together. And then she moved to Texas, like for real, in September of that
Why
year.
did you move to Texas to be with her, or
Yeah,
was it?
well, I mean-
what was the excuse?
The excuse was that I wanted to go to school for mechanics, which I don't know anything about mechanics.
You know a school called UTI? Or
Yeah.
like a Universal Technical Institute?
Yeah. I
There's
see
one in,
commercials on it all the time.
yeah.
that one.
Is that in Texas?
There's one in Texas.
Yeah,
oh,
there's one in
okay. There's
Houston.
one in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the time I was before I met her, I was really set on going for music to college or something, or going into the Marines for something.
I swayed her a little bit. to go to
Yeah.
Texas.
So I went to some
Yeah,
school.
Texas got great schools. Texas.
Ruined her life a little bit. 'Cause she,
Yeah,
like,
it was a bit hard for me because I did move when I was still 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no job, no money. You know, my parents did help support me a lot. But I went through a really, really rough time with my depression and stuff. And
She moved there in September, and she had to leave in December. So she was only there for a couple of
Couple months. Yeah.
yeah,
And-
it got to the point where we thought we were a danger to each other because we were both going through this depression, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we couldn't help each other because we couldn't help ourselves, really.
Yeah.
Because neither of us had a career at that point. She went to a school in Texas, but it was an hour and a half away from where I actually lived.
Yeah.
So-
Which is tough.
yeah,
I mean,
and she had a job.
I had 3 part-time jobs at that time. So I was trying to work all 3 of these, but go whenever I did not have work, I would drive to her house.
yeah.
And like I would leave from her house to clock on at my work.
Yeah. She had actually bought me a phone so I could text her. Because even when I moved to Texas, I still didn't have texting.
You had to get that text in there somewhere.
Had to.
So what was it, like one of those prepaid?
Yeah,
like-
it was those ones that like flip out.
Yeah. Nice.
Had the QWERTY keyboard on
You
it.
know, hey, whatever works, okay?
Right? Yes.
But I mean, it was a really hard time. My roommates were mean, you know. They were all like, I'm pretty sure homophobic also. So having
Yeah.
us around was weird. And I'm used to being around animals, and they're really therapeutic to me. And you know, we tried a dog, and he destroyed everything.
So she moved out in December, and it wasn't until April that I actually saw her again. I had bought a plane ticket over to go see her. in
Okay, so this
April.
time you switched. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
came and
she
visited,
came.
you, and then you went and visited her.
Yeah. So I
All
went to
right.
go see her in April, and then that was probably for only 5 days. Came back, and then I was going to move to California that same year in about August. So I was going to quit my job and try to get transferred with Vans.
Oh, nice.
And they had actually offered me another position still in Texas, but a different store. And I couldn't pass it up. It was trying to decide between my relationship and my job. And I chose
at the time, it felt like it was like
That's what it was. Because
Yeah.
at this point you had told her like, oh, I'm going to move
was
to
like, I'm
California.
gonna-
Like,
yeah,
I'm
that
going to
was
try
our
to do it.
plan.
And then this opportunity comes up to you. You're like,
I have to take it.
Yeah.
Because it was another
it was
full time.
It was a hard pill for me to swallow.
Mhm.
You know, I felt like I was alone again, but we were still together. But it was like
you
know.
couldn't see her. Like
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like you guys spent.
It was like,
so
sorry,
many.
I won't
yeah.
see you
so-
again for another year.
yeah.
So
You know,
I,
you spent time with each other for so long now that you want now you just want to be with her every day
Yeah.
at this point, pretty much.
yeah. So
And so for that to happen, it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
Got to be tough.
but
So I took this job, and I moved to Houston, where her old school used to be at. So it was an hour and a half away from my parents' house. I moved there by myself, but then I asked her to move in with me in Texas.
In Texas.
And then she came probably 3 days later. And
Really?
we were living together for the first time ever at our own apartment. And I had a full-time job, and she was going to have to look for one.
yeah.
Okay. And then when you were living in Texas for that year, like, did you have to make an excuse that time, or were you just like I'm moving with?
Well,
my
no, because I was
girlfriend,
18. You know, at that time, right? I can't even remember how old I am. It's so long ago. You know, it feels so long ago. We've been together for like 4 years. But
kind of keep track of all these years right
yeah,
here.
I need to write it down, you know, something. But I was old enough to move by myself. When I moved back to California after leaving from school, I had gotten 2 jobs, and I saved up the money to get over here. And we keep joking about it, especially lately, but she bought me a plane ticket, and she made me pay her back once I got off the plane.
Little scumbag guy.
I had saved up.
You could have waited like a week or like at least when she got her job, just been like, hey, that first paycheck.
I was stupid, okay?
Did you save money? Hey, can I have that money?
Well, the ticket was like $500, which it was a lot. And I saved about $700. She's like, hand over it.
but like,
just give me that $200 too for rent.
But like, I paid for everything anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah, she did. She was getting me that cash.
Yeah.
But
your parents knew you were coming, and it was very hard. But
my mom actually wrote me a letter, you know, telling me she didn't tell me yet, but she told me don't open it until I get on the plane, and it was basically telling me, you know, that she loves me and that she knows this is what I have to do to be happy, and she supports it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was her first. Was that like the first time where, I guess, towards you, where she was like, take care of my daughter?
It was the second time. She had given her that letter when I went to go see them in April. I had met her parents for the first time. For the first time officially, that's when I had met them. And then when I was we were in the car.
And were you introduced as, this is my girlfriend?
Like officially, like, oh, this is Kai. This is who I've been talking to for the last like year and a half, right? And it was kind of awkward, you know. Meeting parents for the first time is always really weird.
Always, yeah.
So we were in the car, and her brother was taking me to the airport, and her mom calls her and says, I want to talk to Caitlin. I'm like, oh, God. Please don't like, yell at me. And she calls me and she talks to me. She goes, I just want to know that it was beautiful meeting you. You are a really great person and you make our daughter happy. And it was just like, I'm almost going to cry right now.
Yeah.
And still up to that point, it's been weird in the household about it because they don't know much about Kai.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just know it's some girl on the internet that I'm talking to.
But after that point, it was like they knew who I was, so they like accept a little bit more acceptance, and they knew me now.
Yeah,
and that kind of kickstarted my relationship with her parents, and then it kickstarted the better relationship that she had with her parents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think Kai's a very, very people person.
Yeah.
So being around someone that's so just genuine, it made them feel better about who I was dating. It wasn't just some stranger, you know.
Yeah.
Some scumbag.
Yeah.
Which I am on the inside.
Right? Yeah.
Which I am.
You got that $500 there?
It's just so funny to us because now money is not even like, this is my money, this is her money. It's like oh, did you get paid? Okay, buy me, let me buy these socks at Vans. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got star of the month.
It's funny because my girlfriend was there yesterday, and she was telling her, she's like, yeah, Matt's my Vans sugar daddy. And I was like,
yeah, that's what everyone asks why I have so many Vans hats at work. I'm like, well, because I can get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you, I couldn't afford Vans at all.
Your sugar mama buy them for you.
And I still wear these all broken down Vans with
she's
holes
got some
all over
ratty
the
shoes on.
You know what? Is that your own choice though? Like, are you?
Yeah, I find them to be so fucking comfortable.
Yeah. See, it's like filthy and faded. Come on, we sold the product. Okay, so getting back to when you guys were living together and everything. Well, how was that year of being, actually being able to wake up next to each other? And
it was good and it was hard.
It was very hard because like young adults go through that phase where it's like we're poor. We're fucking very poor. We bought Domino's like twice a week, and that was like our only meals for like the entire week.
You know
and
that
you made
story,
that you had to stretch that for the rest of the week. Like you got Domino's one day, that was the rest of the week.
It was hard, and since we're talking about gay stuff, you know about lesbian bed death, right?
No, I did not know.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm not a lesbian.
But when lesbians meet each other, it's usually like a first like, let's move in together. I love you so much, and then they have
U-Haul,
lots and lots of sex.
it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then when we move together, it's just like nothing.
Yeah,
together.
what they call a dry spell.
That's got to be pretty bad when you're living with someone and there's a dry spell in it.
Yeah.
See,
So-
I had that, but I knew the relationship was already getting at its end. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be with this person, but I guess it's different for a lesbian couple.
Yeah. It was different for somebody who you want to spend forever with. It's like, what do we do? Hi, you want to try? Because we both knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Well,
But that
I
year
mean,
was really
before,
hard.
When I was in my own apartment in Houston and stuff, and whenever we saw it, like we could not stay off of each other because there was just so much like in between of not seeing each other. But
Yeah.
when we moved in, it was like the first 2 weeks, and then it was like nothing.
We're
Nothing
not
after
getting too
that.
personal right here.
No, it's-
I got to work with him tomorrow.
Well, now all your coworkers will know.
I know. I told everybody. I was like, yeah, she's going to be. You got to listen to it.
Like, oh man, for the first part of their relationship, they weren't doing nothing.
Yeah, you're going to walk in tomorrow and be like, dude, Kaya's a fucking crazy ass.
You made your girlfriend pay you back $500.
They're never going to let me live this down. But it was really hard, but we lived through it, and we were there probably exactly a year. Because right at the end of that year, we moved to California together.
Yeah, she got in a job at Monterey Park. So it was like Nick at the time, the district manager was like, hey, 2 weeks before we had to move, was like, hey, can you move out here right now?
I had 2 weeks to move.
Really?
We had no apartment ready. We had nothing ready.
We moved here without an apartment, so we were staying in her mom's like little second bedroom, like
with
it was
both of
probably
our pets.
9 by 9 feet, like with a dog and a cat. And we were just like, we have to find an apartment. Like we have to do it right now. So we went apartment hunting for the next 3 days, and I mean, here we are. We were at that apartment for a year, and we moved to Riverside. So there we are.
There you
4.5
go,
years later.
That's amazing. Like 4.5 years. I mean, I'm pretty sure those years have flown by, right? Like
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
couldn't.
Every time an anniversary comes up, we've been like, 4 years? We've been together for 4 years?
You're old as fuck.
Our relationship is a high school relationship right now.
Yeah, that's why like I met you when I was 17 and I'm
Yeah.
21, you know. But every time she's like, "Oh, I'm 23 now. Do you still love me?" I was like, "Yeah." You're a bit old, but
that's never gonna change though. She's
Yeah.
I'm 27. It's like what? The next 4 years.
She's
still the same amount of older than I am,
I'm the old fart in the relationship, so
which is fine. You know, I'm okay with that.
Well, honestly, that's a beautiful story. Like
Uh-huh.
you know, not even straight couples have that story. You know, like I feel like there's way more tragedy and
Oh
a
well,
bunch of BS that goes on in a straight relationship than.
well, there's been a lot of hard times between us, you know. But the important thing is that we
Yeah, but I mean,
know.
for a straight couple, mostly is like there's that hard time, and then it ends either in a divorce or somebody gets murdered or beaten. Like someone has to go to jail. It's
yeah. You have to find it within you to know, is this who you want to be with for the rest of your life, or are you just fucking around, you know?
Yeah.
And I think since we first met, from the day we first met, we knew that, you know, we were soulmates. We were meant to be together.
Yeah.
And we
It's
still
like
say it today, you know.
every time we have a fight,
Yeah.
it's just like, I want to be with you. Like, let's get over this
Let's
together.
sit this down. Let's talk about it. Let's get over it, and let's work on
Let's
it.
work on something
Yeah.
that'll be like, you know, like it's over, but
Yeah.
we're not. The fight's
Yeah.
over, but we're not over. Like we'll be together. Beautiful. Cheers to you guys. Cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers, man.
Cheers and beers.
And boobies.
Cheers, beers, and booze. Exactly. There you go. So, again, that's a great story. I mean, really, it feels good to actually hear, you know, true love still exists.
We hope
Yeah.
it's going to be a movie one day.
It
Yeah.
could be. It really could be. Actually, I did
Especially
have a
for-
dream last night about a movie.
Yeah.
Not a movie about us.
Not
but
a
just
movie about you
a
guys,
specific
but
movie.
I had a dream that I could make into a movie. So I'll make that movie first, and then I'll make your guys' movie.
Awesome.
There you
Sounds
go.
good.
I mean, we're already on a podcast, so
Exactly.
One step
See, there you go. You're
Moving
almost there. All right. So let's get into a different topic now. Really, what I wanted to talk about was, well, not what I wanted to talk. I really wanted to hear about you guys, but just so we can end it on as an educational part for all the listeners and everything. You were telling me about this whole subgender crazy mindfuck shit that goes on within the the LGBT community. It's really it's baffling, and it's funny because I was talking to our floor supervisor Sam. She was there today, and she was like, yeah, like I still don't understand. So what to you guys, like, what are the different subgenders?
Well,
I guess
there's a lot.
There's so many, you can't name them all, and it's not because people make them up, it's because what people feel is so different than another person.
The
Yeah.
way the way we
a little
feel
bit.
is like, if this is how you feel you identify, then be you. Be happy being you. But not everyone in the LGBT community feels that way, or even in the real world, and straight people don't
Right.
feel like that's
Dude,
anything
what?
valid.
Straight people are really the worst, when it comes to stuff like
You're
that.
telling
like,
us.
yeah, like seriously, they are the worst. They're so like judgmental and like
we can't go
But I
anywhere
have
without
to-
people staring at us. It's almost a constant thing where we're like, didn't you see that guy?
Did you see that?
But I have to
or
tell you,
that,
like-
that whatever.
Yeah.
That?
Just trying
Did
to
you
figure us
see that?
out.
Yeah.
And like, what is that?
I mean, you know what though? I was that person. I
Uh-huh.
was that kind of person until I had the gay couple come
Uh-huh.
in, and they really just opened my eyes about everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, like there's so much out there, and you know what? They are just regular people like you guys, like them, like me. Like it's really baffling to me
Yeah.
that it's so that there's so much about it that we don't understand.
Uh-huh.
So you know how you were just telling that straight people are the worst.
Yeah.
Sometimes people in the LGBTQIA community can be the worst.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though LGBTQIA is this one community, there are so many. There's the L, there's the B, there's the G, and all of them are kept separate. Like a lot
Yeah.
of gay men don't like trans people, and a lot of
gay men don't like lesbians.
a lot of lesbians don't like bisexual people.
I've been called more offensive things by gay men than straight
Really?
people.
And this
Yeah.
is not to
Wow.
slander them at all.
No,
but
no,
it's just to prove that
Yeah.
anybody can be the worst.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but as a community, we do need to come together. And if this is through knowledge, like telling your listeners about how, like what the T means in
Yeah.
LGBTQIA, right?
Which is what?
Which is trans
Yeah.
or transgender.
Mhm.
Trans just means your genitals or your body does not match up or doesn't match up with how you feel inside, or how you feel inside does not match up with your birth certificate. What they assign you at birth is what you're going to hear.
Yeah.
So trans is it's in your heart, it's in your brain, it's not your body. And if any of that differs, you're trans, or you're some kind of umbrella term underneath transgender. And you have boy and you have girl, right? You have trans guy and you have trans girl, which are most of the time the opposite, like boy becoming a woman or a woman becoming a boy. And sometimes those terms aren't even accepted. It's like, I was always a boy. I just need to change my body on the outside to match.
It varies between people because, I identify as queer because, my gender isn't really a thought of mine, but I still go by she, her, and, whatever pronouns you want to give me. But someone that can identify the same as me, needs to go by they, them, and feel very strongly towards that. So it's just as long as people are open to understanding,
how other people feel.
Okay.
So trans, you've got boy, girl, but you've also got things like third gender. You've got things like trigender, where people feel a multitude of 3 different genders at 3 different times. Me, myself, and as myself, as Kai, like I identify as gender fluid. So I go from feeling very masculine, feeling as a man one day, to feeling much more feminine, like today, where I can like push my boobies out and wear short shorts and be very feminine and love it. But there are other days where I feel very masculine and I want to basically chop my boobies off and like present very as like tough and have a flat chest.
Masculine, pretty much.
Very masculine, yes. And it's not just the way they present, it's the way that I feel. It's not something I can really explain if you don't have like a metaphor to go with it. So I actually thought of a metaphor for you today. I've used a couple times with Charlotte. With
I prepared something for you.
Hold on,
Let me get my note.
let me get my notebook.
Hear ye.
So people who are trans or who feel outside the gender binary, there's binary, which is two, boy, girl, and then there's non-binary, which is literally everything else. So if you feel as a non-binary person or if you feel as a trans person, it's like having a tumor on your body that's very, very ugly that only you can see. So if I walk around and I'm feeling very masculine, it's like I have this huge growth on my chest. It's so ugly. It's so gross. And only I can see it. You can look at me and you can say, oh, that person looks normal. They look like a girl.
That person has boobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it's like I have this tumor on my chest. It's so heavy. It hurts. Why somebody take it off? Like,
Okay.
and it's so painful to just be inside your own head and to think that you have that tumor.
Because a lot of people think it's like cross dressing, basically. Like, oh, you feel masculine, just dress up like a man. But there are some dark times where she feels such dysphoria that it eats away at her and it makes it impossible for her to love herself, you know? And it's really tough to watch because, you know, there's nothing you can do because that's genuinely how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And some people alleviate what's called dysphoria. It's like body positivity. It's where you don't feel good about your body. You want to change it, whether you have surgery or hormones or what have you. But that's how people try to alleviate dysphoria in their bodies, is by taking hormones, whether it be testosterone or estrogen, or having plastic surgery or like a needed gender reassignment surgery where you have your boobies taken out or get boobies put on, or you have I don't know if you want to get super into detail, but if you have I don't know what it's called, a medioplasty, where it's like you have a small penis instead of a vagina, and then I don't know what the other way around is called, where you
have a vagina and want a penis?
The other way around, where you have a penis.
Oh,
and
you have a penis and want a vagina. Yeah. I have no idea. Like I said, like this is seriously something that I really don't really understand.
Not very well versed on it.
Exactly. Not very well. Like I'm accepting of it. Like I know there's people out there that are like that, but it's just so.
And it's much information where everything I'm telling you is just kind of blah, 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 like coming out.
It's a lot to take in because it's not just like, oh yeah, there are people that want to switch genders. It's like this whole world that no one ever talks about.
It's honestly, to me right now, it just sounds like a constant battle that people have personally with themselves in their own, in their own body, like this discomfort, and which is, I mean, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It really, because you think, well, a straight person is, first of all, they're comfortable with their body. Like, well, their gender, whatever it is, that's who they are.
Yeah, it's not a second thought at all.
Exactly. And then you have those kind of people who are battling with this, I'm not going to say disease, but this struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, really, was what it is. It's it's a struggle that they have to deal with every single day, where one day they feel this way, another day they feel another way, and it's really, it's kind of heartbreaking.
And you have to think about, sometimes people, not everybody's gender fluid. Sometimes they're just a trans man, and they have to live through that struggle every single day. And it's just so hard for them. And so you see people in the LGBT community hating on these people who are just trying to be themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's gotten a lot of like people telling her that gender fluid isn't a thing, or not directly to her, but like saying out loud.
Saying something like, like you're behind me, but I'll have my back turned to you, like oh yeah, gender fluid doesn't exist.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what are you
they're
talking
just-
about?
And I've
Making
even
it
had-
known, you
yeah,
know.
I've even had trans man friends that I thought were friends, and they're trying to tell me to get on hormones, and I have to have top surgery to be accepted in the trans community.
And especially when she's having her masculine days, when these people are telling you, no, you're this way, it's hard for her to see.
To understand that I'm still valid.
Yeah.
That I'm still my real
It
person.
makes them question, like, maybe, you know, I need a transition. Maybe this is what I will,
Yeah.
just to alleviate this pain we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've seen friends of hers be like, you know, take T boosters, you know, you need to start working out, you know, all these things, you need to do this, all this facial hair, it's going to be great. And at the time, it's like, yeah, that's right. But then it messes up with her body. And when she does have her feminine days, she's not
It's
comfortable.
like I would totally regret doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't do it.
Don't
at
do
this
it.
time.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, you know, like, for your listeners, like, if anybody is having any type of doubt about their gender or their place on the binary or their place on the non-binary, do research. I had to do my research and find out about all these terms myself because I didn't have a lot of friends around me that were not, like, strictly trans or were trying to tell me how to live my life and how to do my thing and how to be my gender, basically.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there is just struggling with themselves, do research, reach out. Don't just do your thing.
And you know, when
reach
I
out
feel like
and-
too, when you do find where you're at on that scale, wherever it is, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot easier. You'll be able to know exactly what you're going through, and you can talk about it to people, with people, someone that's either going the same way, someone that you really trust or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, just do your research. Do your research before you jump to any conclusions, and make sure that you know what you're talking about before you open your mouth and tell somebody. Like,
They're not-
If you before you even think you can tell somebody who they are, look at yourself and tell yourself who do you think you are?
And
Because
that's something that Kai and I really live by is, like, we'll make, jokes here and there about, like, the way someone, did something to us or something. But we really, really don't go out of our way to take somebody's identity away from them. Like, whether they're bigger or, they're black or, they're gay or something, that's who they are.
yeah.
So for me to be like, well, that's not right. It doesn't make sense for you to take somebody's validation away from them.
because it hurts.
It hurts, and it makes
that's
you
all it
more
does.
confused. Why am I not like everybody else?
It's such a hard topic to talk about because I'm still struggling with my validity. Validation. Was struggling with my own validation because with how I feel about my gender and how it fluctuates, there's not another person out there that I found that's exactly the same as me.
Which you
But
never
that doesn't
you
make
never
me
Yeah.
know that.
valid.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can have people that we're so alike, but they don't know what I feel. I'm never
Yeah.
we're never gonna find somebody that. And that's something that we've been working on, is just to try to get them to love themselves.
Yeah.
and there's so much to talk about when we talk about gender, but like as a straight person, do you know what cis means? CIS.
No.
Cis means it's basically the opposite of trans, where you're assigned a male at birth and you're like, I'm boy.
Mm-hmm.
So you are cis.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything bad. It's just a label. So you as a straight cis person, do you have any questions about gender or about the trans community, LGBT?
There's a lot of questions that I could ask, but that'll be a whole nother hour.
Yeah.
That's true. What's like the
We
first
can-
thing that comes to your mind, though, for you and for your listeners?
Well, for me, again, I've tried. I was raised to always accept people for who they are, because I've gone through things in my life that I don't really talk about, but they've affected me in a way to where I can open up and be like, you know what, there are some people who are like this, there are some people who are different. At the end, we're all fucking human beings. We're
Right.
all gonna be here on this rock floating through space. Like, we can get into religion and everything, but bottom line, none of that really matters, because what matters is what we know today. And what we know today is that there are all types of people out there, all
Yeah.
types. We are a species of people who have been evolving for millions of
Yeah.
years now. And so you can't tell me that there isn't a woman out there that wants to be a boy. There isn't a guy out there that wants to be a woman. There isn't a woman out there who sometimes feels like a guy, but is also really in touch with their feminine side. Like it's all there. It all exists. And we, as a species, just need to learn how to accept it.
Yeah,
a lot lately. This has been going on for centuries, decades,
years.
Yeah, there's other cultures with people that are dealing with this, for years and years. And people, a lot lately, it's like, oh, it's just some trend the millennials are doing these days.
No, but there's also people who are stoning their wives to death because they cheated on another man. And it's like there's so much out there that it's really. We just got to focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
We really just have to be in touch with ourselves, at peace with who we are. And once we're happy with who we are, we can be more accepting about everybody else. I mean, because that's what I really feel like that's what the problem is that you were raised for so long, told how to feel, that you are trying to now push that onto somebody else who disagrees with you, who's a different view. And it's not good. It's really...
Yeah.
And then honestly, it leads to shootings.
Yeah.
That whole Miami incident. Then we have all the wars, and then all the civil wars that are happening in the Middle East and Africa. There are children who are being taken from their families, and it's all because you don't agree with me.
Ignorance.
That's pretty much, that is pretty much it. Is because that person is looking at you saying, you know what, you're fucking weird. I got to take you out.
Yeah.
And take your child and train him the way I am. Like, it's fucked.
Yeah.
It's
sad,
all fucked.
It's frightening. It's everything.
But you know what? I feel like a lot of people did learn a lot from this episode, and I want to thank you guys so much for coming on again. Like, I love. Honestly, I can say now, like, I love having gay people around. I love.
We are a lot funner.
And actually, that was that's another thing that my gay friends told me. They were just like, dude, whenever you're hanging out with gay couples, like, all it is about having fun and being, being accepted. So just to hear that are those things, there's still like little, the little things inside the community. Bottom line is it's fun.
Yeah,
it's love, it's peace and acceptance.
When you feel so much oppression from the world around you, and you genuinely want to push out love, we don't feel as much. Oppression as, someone that is, a person of color, or, we have it a lot easier than other people. But, when you're around people that you genuinely love, all you want to do is just push out love and happiness.
Yeah. So again, I think that's what a lot of people can take from this episode. So again, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is really another great episode. I had a lot of fun doing it. Again, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Hopefully we can probably do this again later on. Definitely later on in the year. We'll celebrate more.
You can't see my face, but I'm really excited.
No, I can tell. So Charlotte, I did ask Kai what was a song that she would like to dedicate to you. So she did dedicate a song to you. And this is what we're going to end the episode on. Thank you guys for listening. Do you guys want to tell your Instagram or anything, or give anybody a follow? I want people to follow you. If not, it's cool.
I'm just like, if you guys need anything, like if you're questioning your gender, like I'm here for advice for you guys. My Instagram is called The Last Queer Bender. No spaces, nothing in between. So if you guys want to hit me up on Instagram, and if you need any advice or if you want to just talk, let me know. I'm here for you, no matter what.
If you want fans, go to Monterey Park and ask for Kai. She's also there.
Charlotte, no, you good?
Well, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm not really active on it, but Rainbow loves her. No spaces, no nothing.
All right. Sweet. Thanks, guys. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Charlotte, Kai would like to dedicate this song to you. This is Panic at the Disco. Always.
When the world gets too heavy, put it on my back. I'll be your levee. You are taking me apart like bad glue on a get well card. It was always you falling
kid myself and thinking that I'm fine. It was always you falling for me. Now there's always time calling for me. I'm the light blinking at the end of the road. Blink back to let me know that I'm skin and bone, just a cane and a rusty throne. All the castles under siege, but the sign outside says leave me alone. It was always you falling for me. Now there's always time calling for me. I'm the light blinking at the end of the road. Blink back to let me know. Blink back to let